Hey there, Deep Inspiration Hub here. So one of the most asked questions on my channel is if I could do a tutorial on how you can set up your checkout node using a VPS that is hosted by Racknerd. So why is this asked most of the time? Because Racknerd has some pretty good deals where, for instance, you can host a VPS with them for about $11.49 a year. So now I talked to the team and they opened my eyes to some other deals that they had. I'm going to take you through which VPS you would use for which node. So I also got asked a lot, which kind of VPS should I use? Or what type of hardware should I use for instance, if I have one node, if I have two nodes, or if I have three nodes. Now, I would orient to so here to tell you which one are we going to use, I would make this as a basis. So I always prefer to come to the docs because this is where the official truth is right now. So like they say here, you need 64 megabyte of RAM, 1x CPU core, 10 gigabytes of disk space, and 10 megabyte of internet connection. And what they also said here, which is very, very important, is that depending on the number of licenses that you have, if you have 2 licenses, for instance, this will scale up linearly. So it will be by the number of licenses that you have. So if you have 2 licenses, this would be, let's say, what is going to be 128 megabyte of RAM, 2 CPU cores, which is very important here, 10 gigabytes of disk space, and also 20 megabyte of internet connection. If you have, let's say, 4 licenses, it would be 4x. And the most important thing, so the RAM and the disk space are typically easy to get, but what makes a striking difference is typically the number of CPU cores. So here I talked to the Racknerd team. They gave me a number of deals that they have, and I'm going to take you through the deals and show you which VPS to use for which number of licenses that you have. So here as well, they gave me a referral link, so I'm very, very happy if you use my referral link, because as always, this really helps me in my channel to be able to bring some videos to you like this. Now I'm going to start with the New Year deals. So here you can see that they have their VPS going for about, so if you starting from $11.49 a year to $37.38 a year. So if you look at the minimum requirements that we need for a checker node, so my recommendation would be that if you just have one node, you can go for the $11.49 a year. So this would amount to, if you do the calculation, about $0.96 a year, which is pretty low compared to, for instance, how much you would pay with DigitalOcean. Also, they would provide you sufficient resources, so you get 10 gigabyte of disk space, 1 CPU core, 1 gigabyte of RAM, and 1.5 terabytes of monthly transfer, which is more than sufficient if you compare this to the requirement here. Now, what I would also have to stress here is that if you intend, so in my case, for instance, I might be going for running multiple nodes on my VPS, so I wouldn't limit this only to Aethir. I might soon be uploading some videos on how you can triple mine or quadruple mine several nodes on your VPS, and in that case, the 1 year deal, so this one with this system here might be too less powerful for that. If you would want to do that, I'll show you another option that we can use. If you would intend to run only the Aethir checker node on your clients, then you can go with the $11.49 option. What I would also try to do, for instance, is sometimes I'm trying to think about it, is if I go for a higher option where I'm going to be running like 5 different projects on it, and it's going to be very complicated to handle, you can also optionally just go for 1 VPS per project, and here the price is also pretty good, and then you can go for this option. Now, if you'll be running multiple, for instance, if you'll be running 2 nodes on your VPS, then my recommendation would be to go for the number 3 here. So that's going to be the $27.98 a year, and here this will sign up to about $2.33 a month, right? So here they're going to give you, so the reason why I choose this is because of the number of CPU cores. So what the team mentioned is that this scales linearly, so that means that if you have 2 licenses, you would need 2 CPU cores, and that's why in that case I would go for this one, because you would get the CPU cores. The disk space you would need 20 if you have 2, and we're going to get 45, which is more than sufficient. The RAM, we're going to go way more than we need, and monthly transfer, everything here would also work out. Now, if you have about 3 to 4 licenses, then none of the New Year deals here, as per the specifications from Aethir, would work, because the maximum that they have in terms of their New Year deals is 2 CPU cores, right? So if you go down, you see that they have nothing left. And then for 3 to 4, so if you have 3 licenses, you need to have 3 CPU cores, and you don't have it here. If you have 4 licenses, you would need to have 4 CPU cores, which they do not also have here. I mean, in that way, so the technical team gave me this deals that they have, so they call it the Black Friday deals, so it's a bit hidden. So like you can see here, you need to really swipe through to see the prices, and there they showed me this one here, which is pretty good. So here they are going to be giving you 4 CPU cores for $52.49 a year, right? And in that case, price is going to be about $52.49 a year, which would sum up to about $4.35 $5 a month. And then here I did a comparison to what other providers also offer for this specification. So if you compare this, for instance, to Contabo, then you would see that Contabo, so here you're going to get $4.5 euros a month. I don't know what the conversion will be, but I'm just doing a very round conversion that is going to be a 1:1. So here you would sum up to, let's say, about 54.7 euros a year, and here also you would get 4 CPU cores. They do have, so for instance, if you need more than 4 CPU cores, for instance, you need, where is it, the requirements here, you need from 5 to 6 to 7. My recommendation would be to rather look at Contabo. So but Contabo has some pretty good deals here. Here, for instance, if you pay $10 a month, you would get 6 CPU cores, right, which would be more than sufficient to run your node. Now, in this instance, beyond this point, I would really question if it would make sense to run your checker node on a VPS. So because, for instance, for me, if I'm going to be paying, say, $14 a month or $26 a month just to run an Aethir checker node on the VPS, then I would rather go for a NAS. So I think I've said this in several videos that with NAS you can be paying from, I think I uploaded a video, for instance, yesterday from Imstone, where you can pay about $5 a month, right, if you use my referral link, $5.2 a month if you use my referral link. And then in that way, the VPS might not be the best option, right? But if you stay, unless you want to run multiple nodes on your, so for instance, from Aethir, from other projects, then the VPS here might be a better option. But if you have less than that, then the ones here would be a good option. So for one licenses like me, this is a no-brainer. The price here is pretty good for $11.49 a month. And then I would really put this in the description which package to use for which number of licenses that you have. So that's enough of talking, but I really wanted you to understand the background to why I'm making these choices. However, I would also recommend that you really look at the requirements yourself and also try to validate the things that I'm saying if it would work for you. Now, I'm going to start with how you can set up your server. So I'm going to put my referral link. So here I have only one license, so I'm going to use this package here. So just use my referral link, put in the link that I'm going to provide here. This is going to be taking you directly to the 1 GB plan, which is going to be for one license. So if you have multiple licenses, like I said, I'm going to provide every link for every number of licenses that you have. So here you would basically have to, you don't need to change anything here. What do we have? This is going to be the name of our server, but the only thing that you need to change at this instance is the operating system down here. So you can see that you are going to be using Alma Linux. I would recommend that you go with here Ubuntu 22.04. So they also say that it's recommended for a minimum of 1 GB RAM, and if you look up here, we have 1 GB RAM, so which should be more than sufficient. So I'm going to choose this one here, Ubuntu 22.4, and I'm going to click on continue. And then here they have several payment options that they have, so you can pay with PayPal, credit card, crypto, and stuff like that. So here I'm going to be paying with PayPal. So I'm basically going to continue the order and take it to the next steps. So when you're done with the payments, you're going to be receiving an email like this, where basically they give you all the login information that you're going to need to access the server. So what you would need is, you would need an IP address, you would need a username, and then you would also need a password. Now I'm going to show you how you can connect to the console. When you log in into your Racknerd, there are several ways that you can connect to the console. So they do have, so when you come under services, right, you go to my services, you would see the VPS that you just created here. So when you click on this, they do have an inbuilt console, but I'm not really a fan of the inbuilt console because it doesn't look that nice. So when you click on VNC, it's going to pop up the console for you. Here you click on HTML VNC, and then basically it's going to open the console where you're going to have to log in with a username and password. So I'm not really a fan of their console because you're going to have to log in with your username and password, and if I have to log in with my username and password every time, I would rather use a different approach that I'm going to teach you. So if you compare this, for instance, with DigitalOcean, when you click on console, it basically takes your login credentials and directly connects you into the console without you having to input in your password and username. Now I'm going to teach you my preferred way of logging into the console. So there are different applications that you can use to log in into the console. So one is called Windows PowerShell if you are using Windows. If you are using a Mac OS, there is an inbuilt program in Mac that is called Terminal. You can also use this terminal to log in into the console, and the commands that you're going to use are going to be the same whether you're using Windows or whether you're using a Mac OS. There is also another program that is also available that is called Putty. So Putty is also a standalone program that you can use logging into your console. The advantage with put is that it's possible to save the login credentials so that you don't have to put this in every time. So I'm also working on a video where, because I see that there are going to be a lot of digital notes where people are going to have several VPS options, and then it's going to be sometimes a bit cumbersome to remember what the username and the password for every VPS that you're going to be hosting is. So I'm going to make out a video. I plan to do at least make out a video how you can save what is called private key directly into the console so that you can directly connect to the console without you having to use your username and password. If you'll be interested in this tutorial, just put this in the comment section and I'll work on this. So like I said, because I'm using Windows, I'm going to click on the start button. I'm going to be using the PowerShell. So just open your PowerShell. I'm going to move this to the left and I'm going to keep the PowerShell to the right. Now to connect, all you're going to have to use the command, use the command SSH space roots, right, and then type @ like you have an email address. Come here, click on copy the IP address and then paste the IP address. So the root is basically what you have here as the username, and then the IP address is what you're going to connect. So you're telling the console to try to connect to the VPS server using the username root, and then just press enter, and then it's going to ask you, because it's a new connection that I'm going to do, it's going to ask me if I want to add this fingerprint to my PC. So just type in yes here and then press enter, and then what it's going to ask you is your password. So here, please pay attention. I'm going to come here, I'll just double click and copy the password. When you come to PowerShell, to paste the password, just do a right click on the mouse. It pastes in whatever that you have in the clipboard, but you do not see it because it's a password. Or when you right click, it pastes this in there, right? And just press enter. And then basically it connects you directly into the console. So now from this point up forward, if you already know how to set up a Aethir checker node and a VPS, you don't need to watch the rest of the video. But I'm going to continue the video to set up an Aethir checker node for those who are not familiar with how to set up an Aethir checker node on the VPS in general. So to start with, as always, I provide all the commands that you're going to need to set up the VPS. So we're going to start by first downloading. So here the step 1 basically tells you how to log in into the console, and this is what basically I did with you. Now we're going to go to step 2 where we're going to download the software itself. So just come here, copy the wget command, right click and choose paste. Should the URL to the address change here, just come to app.aethir.com, and I'm going to show you basically how you can do this. So just come to click on download checker clients. Sometimes it takes a while for the page to load, and then right click here and choose copy the link address. Oh sorry, I have to log out, otherwise it automatically logs me in. I'm going to come here, I'm going to log out, click on download checker clients, right click on CLI for Linux, and then use copy the link address. Now you can just open Notepad and paste in the link address that we copied. It didn't copy. I'm going to try this again. Right click, copy the link address. I'm going to come to Notepad and I'm going to paste this in here. Somehow it's not working. Okay, it's pasted here. And then all you have to do is to just type in wget before that and press space. And then basically you have the same command that I used here. So the reason why I teach you this every time is that the URL might change sometimes, or server or the Aethir team might relocate the download file and stuff like that. So it's very important to understand how the command is working so that you can always troubleshoot if there are issues. Now here we have downloaded the software. So what we're going to do next is to extract the software. And to do this, I'm going to use this command that I have here. So just come here. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to copy the command. I'm going to come into the console. So to paste in the console, like I said, all you have to do is to right click and it basically pastes everything that you have in the clipboard. And I'm going to press enter. And then now I'm going to install a screen. So the screen is basically an application that allows you to run several applications in different containers. I'm going to right click this here. I'm going to paste this here and I'm basically going to install the screen application. Now in the next one, we're going to create a space that we want to work with, and we're going to call the space Aethir. So just copy this one here, come here, paste this in. You can also change Aethir to whatever that you want to do, right? So just press enter, and then you see that it basically clears out everything because we are now in a new space. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change into the directory that the file that we extracted. So if you want to see what the name of the file is, just type ls, then press enter. So you see the red one that I have here is what we downloaded with the wget command. The Aethir checker CLI AS is what we extracted. So now I want to change into this directory. Now to do so, I'm just going to use the cd command, which means change directory into this folder. If for instance in your case the folder name is for the blue one is different, just replace this with whatever that you have. So sometimes it ends in EU depending on the download links that you're using, but in my case I'm using the Asian link, that's why it's going to remain as AS. So just press enter, and then the next stage we're going to install the scripts, right? This script is going to basically, I'm going to come here, I'm going to paste this in here whilst it's installing. I'll explain to you. So what the script basically does is that it installs a service for you so that the Aethir checker node is always going to start automatically when for instance you have to restart your PC or something like that. So now for instance, where we'll be doing the wallet creation, the wallet delegation and stuff, if you mistakenly close that application, the servers would always be running in the background. So there are always going to be 2 instances of the checker node running. So you would have one that is going to be, so it's not always, but there are 2 instances of the program that are going to be running. You're going to have the service that is going to be running all the time in the background, and you're going to have the client where you're basically going to be doing the delegation and stuff like that. So the client doesn't need to be on all the time, because the client can only be used, you can only use the client to delegate, undelegate and stuff like that. But the service is always going to be running in the background, even if you have to reboot your server. That's why it's particularly important to install the script here. And I'm very happy that the team did this, because a lot of people were having issues that they closed the checker node application and the node goes offline. But now when you close it, it wouldn't go offline because of the service or the service script that we installed. I'm going to come here, I'm going to copy this, I'm going to paste in to restart the service manager. And then now the magic is going to begin. We're going to open the Aethir application. Just copy this, come here. So basically the program has launched, and now what we need to do is to just press Y to accept the terms and conditions. Now, this is where I also want to explain something to you. So I always try to add new information to my video depending on the questions that I have in my YouTube comments. Whenever you want to use any Aethir specific command. So what I mean by Aethir specific command is a command that begins in Aethir. You need to make sure that you are inside the application. How would you know that you are inside the application? When you are inside the application, or if you are inside the Aethir checker node application, the console here, the inputs is going to change to please input. So whenever you have anything else than please input, don't try to use any command that begins with Aethir, because it's not going to work, because Linux is basically not going to know what you are talking about. But whenever you want to use any Aethir specific command and you have the please inputs here, it means that you are in the Aethir application. Now I'm going to create a wallet here. So if you already had a wallet here, it would automatically detect this, but because I do not have a wallet, I have to create a new wallet. So here I'm just going to come here, I'm going to copy this to create a new wallet, come here, paste this in, press enter, and it basically generates a new private key for you and a public key. Now the private, I would also recommend that you can copy everything here, just right click, highlight everything here, highlight everything. You can press Ctrl C to copy, and then you can come to your notepad. Then you can basically paste this in and save this somewhere. So why do you need these private keys? So this was also asked several times in my YouTube tutorials. The private key is useful if, for instance, you have to reset your server and then you don't want to go into the Aethir app or the Aethir console to do the redelegation. So when you import using this private key, the console is going to, so long as you haven't undelegated this burner address on the console, it's automatically going to connect to your VPS or to your Aethir checker node here. Now the burner address that that has been generated here also does not store any tokens, right? So don't try to send any crypto tokens to this address, because it's not going to work, right? Now if it complicates things for you, when you reset your server, you can basically just create a new burner address every time. And I mean, there is no specific advantage other than that, the fact that you would have to go into the console and do the delegation again. So here, just double click on the burner address, or what is called a public key, and then press Ctrl C to copy this. And then I'm going to go to the Aethir dashboard. I'm going to log in here. So click on connect wallet. I'm going to connect to the wallet that has my NFT. So here I'm using MetaMask. So when I log in, I can come to licenses. And then basically, because I'm doing a lot of tutorials, my license is always busy. So I just have to come here and undelegate this first. And then now my license status is free, so I'm just going to delegate, click on delegate, and then I'm going to paste in the burner address that I copied from the console, and I'm going to click on delegate. I'm going to confirm the transaction. So here everything is on Arbitrum 1 for mainnet, so make sure that you have some ETH for gas fees. And then click on confirm. Then I'm going to refresh this to see if it has taken effect. So you can see that it's taken effect. So the delegate status is no more free. This has been changed to pending. So now we're going to go back to the console. We are basically done from the dashboard. What we're going to have to do now is to accept the delegation. So here you can use this command here, Aethir license approve all. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to right click on this, and then this should accept the delegation. So you can see that I have a license operation approved success. So when you put in the command Aethir license summary, it would basically give you, it would give you a summary of everything that is running. For instance, if you have multiple licenses, this is then copy, try this again, come here, right click and paste this in. Then you can see that I have one license that is ready. So your license can either be ready or check-in. So whether your license is on ready or check-in, both are good. Both means that your license is online. Ready means that your checker license is idle and waiting for a task to perform. Check-in means that your license is your node is online and performing a check attack. So what you don't want to see is your node going, so wherever you have 1, that is the active, so 1 is under check, under ready in my case, so it means that the node is idle and waiting for a check attack. If you have 1 for offline or banned, then it means that your node is basically offline or is banned. If your node is at pending, then it means that you have a delegation that you haven't accepted. So there you can use this command to accept the delegation. So now we have accepted the delegation. When I go back to the console and I refresh the console, you should see that the delegating status here has changed to delegate and ready. So basically, that's all that you have to do to set up the checker node. At this instance, what I typically recommend is that before you leave, don't directly close the terminal here. You can also do this, it wouldn't do anything for you. It wouldn't harm anything because of the service that is going to be running in the background, that is going to make sure that the node is always going to be running. My recommendation, like I also put here, is that before you leave, press Ctrl A on the keyboard, leave the keyboard and press D, right? And then basically this would minimize the screen that is running the Aethir application. If you want to get back into the program, use the command screen space -R, and then this would basically take you back into the program. So I'm going to minimize this. And then what the question that I get also most of the time is that, do you have to leave the terminal on all the time? No, you don't need to leave the terminal on all the time. So I can basically close the terminal here, my node will still be running. You also do not need to leave your PC on all the time, because the idea about hosting it on a VPS is that the hardware is going to be with them. So you don't need to put on your PC all the time. You only need to put on your PC or use your PC when you want to connect to the console to do anything. Once you close the terminal, you are disconnected from the terminal, so you don't need to worry about keeping your PC on or anything. So that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful to you. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. So my Twitter profile is Depend Inspira Hub. You can also reach out to me on Telegram. So my Telegram username is Depend Inspiration Hub, and I'm very, very happy to help you out. I hope this video was useful. Please like the video and subscribe to my channel for more things like this. Thanks for watching once again, and see you in the next one. Bye.